Going on, everybody? We had yet another great Sunday school lesson this week. I'm just so blessed to be a part of this program with these people. Something that came up again. We're in Jeremiah. This is the Chronicles of Jeremiah. We're still rocking with him. We're in Jeremiah chapter 38 for this particular lesson. One thing that we talked about Jeremiah in the beginning that particularly spoke to me was this idea of what kind of leader was Jeremiah, or what were the qualities about Jeremiah that made him fit to do the job that he was doing. The first thing that someone said was that Jeremiah was loyal, but the one that really hit the nail on the head for us was that Jeremiah was consistent.
If you look at Jeremiah, we studied him quite a bit. What are some of the traits that you see in Jeremiah? What are some of the 2 or 3 great traits about him do you see as we have studied him, about him? Anyone? Loyal, okay, that's one, that's good. Anyone else? Consistent. Number 1, because that's the whole thing about leadership that we often lose. It's not so much that, you don't appreciate strong leadership as much as you want them to be consistent from one thing to the next in terms of their belief, in terms of what they're teaching. You can't change what you believe just because the audience is different. And that's what you get into.
I thought that was just so impactful. It just speaks to, in the face of adversity, can you still stand on the beliefs that you truly embody? And do you truly embody them if you can't stand on them in the most pressurized of situations? Jeremiah was consistent in what he did. He was consistent in his message. He was consistent in his approach to the message. Loyalty fits because he stayed true to God's word. We also came up with the word risk taker because, he was taking risk. He was risking himself at the highest level. His life was on the line for what he was preaching, speaking, committed to putting truth to power to, and for those reasons, loyalty, consistency, and risk-taking came up for us. One thing we talked about with consistency was you can't change what you believe because the audience is different. If it's your truth, if it's what you're standing on, you have to do it even in the face of adversity. Because if you don't do it in the face of adversity, are you even really embodying it? Jeremiah was a testament to embodying his message and putting it all on the line. In this particular chapter, we see that Jeremiah has been imprisoned, and it took for an Ethiopian man, Ebed-Melech. I believe I'm saying that right, Ebed-Melech. We went over to make sure we said that right in Sunday school. Ebed-Melech spoke out on his behalf and got things done. Shout out to the brother from Ethiopia. What you need to understand about this particular time that we're in, Jeremiah has been preaching this word. Let's not forget, Jeremiah didn't even know that he could do this word, but God said, through me, you'll be able to do these things. And Jeremiah has been on this journey, not without risk. There's this king at this time. His name is Zedekiah. And though he is the king, the last king of Judah, he's essentially an appointed figurehead for the larger state of Babylon. I'm sure we've heard of these type of people in politics. They don't really hold power. They're just the face of it. Zedekiah is kind of in this way where he's the king, but bro don't have that much weight to what he's got going on. Now, Zedekiah and Jeremiah have a complicated relationship because he respects that Jeremiah is a man of God. He has the light, so to speak, but he doesn't always like what Jeremiah is preaching or instructing, which is just kind of hilarious because here we have a king who respects that Jeremiah tells the truth, but when Jeremiah tells him he got to do better, or at least can't do wrong, he don't want to hear it. You know what I'm saying? So Jeremiah is taking the truth too far. He orders him to be arrested. Jeremiah he allows him to be arrested in a lenient way, but Jeremiah has so many haters at this point, they send him to death, essentially. He's in this thing called a cistern, which is kind of like a well, but rather than people extracting water from it, it like holds water. So he's essentially at the bottom of this well. There's mud on the bottom. He can't lay down, otherwise he'd drown or whatever. He's forced to stand. There's no food. He's being starved to death. So he's on a slow death, essentially. Jeremiah unfairly arrested for speaking God's word in a lawless land, and they didn't want to hear it. Again, these are not just little huts he's speaking to. These are whole empires he's speaking out against. He's in this place doomed for death, and it's from this Ethiopian man, Ebed-Melech, who was a servant to the king. I guess he had some power, some ear to the king. He spoke out on his behalf. Now, it's important to talk about advocacy because when we talk about Jeremiah, he was somebody who was consistent and spoke the truth to what he believed in. Ebed-Melech also took a chance to some degree to speak out or speak to the king who arrested Jeremiah about the conditions that Jeremiah was in. Now, if you know something's wrong, one would say you got to speak to what you feel is right. Ebed-Melech shows this, and this causes the king to be in a place where there's public scrutiny for how Jeremiah is being treated. And so then he goes and sends 30 men and gets Jeremiah out of that jam.
But the timing in this is what is so critical to me. Because, have we ever heard that expression, somebody never said a mumbling word? Y'all ever heard that? When they're talking about Jeremiah had this, it never said that he was complaining or begging anybody to do anything, did it? It didn't say anything about that. All that it said is that they rescued him, and Jeremiah acted like he knew what? He acted like he knew they were going to rescue him.
Jeremiah was faithful. Jeremiah was faithful. He knew that things were going to work out for him. He never doubted it, not once. This wasn't the first time he was in a jam, and this wouldn't be the last time that God got him out of a jam. Kind of things about your favorite superhero, action hero, whatever the case may be. They're always just in the nick of death, just in the jaws of defeat, and they just come through in the last minute, and it all works out for them. So Jeremiah, a real hero, in a major way. So all in all, we just want to remember that we got to be consistent to our word. You can't change what you believe because the audience is different. Say what you mean what you say, and mean it all the time. Especially, and maybe only if it's in the direction of the highest good. All right, y'all. Appreciate you. It's a good one. I don't know how much more Jeremiah we got, but we in there. We in there as long as he in there. Let's get it.
This was not the end. This was not the end. The king, and let me summarize as we wrap up. This king, for instance, they burned the city down to the ground. Thanks, everybody. We had a great time. Keep reading. Brother Hurd, I love your post. You become a Jeremiah expert. I read your post. Thank you very much. Thanks, guys. See ya.